Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday night, and you're very welcome to the Football Lounge. So grab a seat, extend the recliner, get that cup of tea ready, because we have a lot to talk about. You're all very welcome to the Football Lounge, and I am, of course, joined by some FTSN stalwarts, Colum and Bobby. You're very welcome, gentlemen. Pull up a seat. But before we do get into that, we do have some housekeeping to take care of because, as you know, FTSN now is sponsored and it is sponsored by Global Mapping Service. They are a company that deals with global mapping surveys and currently assist architects, property developers, and construction companies all over the country. They offer a wide variety of services such as setting out topographical surveys, 3D laser scanning, and monitoring. The link, of course, is in the description. So thank you very much to our sponsor for that, and we will remind you of that message later on in the show. But those of you who were astute will have noticed that we were supposed to be talking about the World Cup today, but things have developed, and we are now going to be talking about something completely different, and that is a statement that has been released by Sir Jim Ratcliffe concerning his reported takeover of Manchester United. And it's not good news at present for Manchester United fans, as he has ruled out the Manchester United takeover, and he opens up on the Glazers personally. He stated that he will not be buying Manchester United, and the British billionaire was heavily linked with buying the Premier League club from American owners, the Glazer family, earlier this year. However, despite much speculation, Sir Ratcliffe's intention is now clear. The man himself has now broken his silence and revealed that the club is not for sale. I repeat those words: the club is not for sale. He stated that he met Joel and Evan Glazer, and he told the Financial Times they are the nicest people, proper gentlemen. They do not want to sell the club. If it had been for sale this summer, yes, I think we would have had a go following on from the Chelsea thing. Bobby, I know you like talking about these matters, so I'm going to come to you first. Um, is there a bit of gamesmanship in that statement, in that he's basically not after closing a door by addressing the Glazer family in such a manner, or is it the case that Manchester United fans need to make their peace that Manchester United will be under Glazer ownership for the medium to short term at least?
Yeah, I think United fans have just got to be ready and just. Can I see it happen this year? Definitely not. Can I see it happening next year? Possibly. There's a lot of things that can go wrong for the Glazers to then go, okay, we've got to sell. I think that the wording of the answer is beautiful from Sir Jim. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's done it perfectly for me. And I think the United fans. I don't know if you guys see another guy that does United stuff. I don't agree with what he wants to try and do. I think that will actually want the Glazers to stay more because they'll be talked about. People they love being talked about no matter what, even if it's positive or negative. They don't care. If you're talking about them, they're getting press. So for me, just be patient. It will happen. I'm 100% sure it will happen. I just don't know when. Now, obviously, you both of you are United fans. What is your like the maximum you can be patient with the Glazers owning you? If that makes
Well,
sense.
for me personally, as much as it pains me, I haven't spent a penny on any club-related merchandise or affiliated items since at least, I'd say, 7 years at this point. And it pains me to do that because I do come across some nice stuff that I would say, you know what, I wouldn't mind owning that, but then the back of my head is telling me you're putting money in a certain family's pockets, and it irks me. Um, Now, we all know of other lines and ways and means, but at the same time, the quality, let's face it, is not the same in those avenues. So, if you want to invest your money in something, you want to get it on the genuine article, but you want it to be going into the right hands. Now, Colm, I know you've got your Glazer family voodoo dolls lined up behind you, and you've been prodding Joe Glazer every night for the last 365 days. But given the news that's come and addressing Bobby's question, how long do you feel is too long, and are you disappointed that Sir Jim has basically ruled it out at this point?
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that Sir Jim's not taken over. It looks like it was going to be really positive from what we've seen over the last couple of months. This whole Glazer out movement, everybody getting behind Sir Jim and everything as well. So I was really hoping to see some better news. As for how long can I be patient with him? I mean, a day. I'd like to see him gone. End of the day, I just don't want him anything anywhere near Manchester United. But if we're looking realistically, I could probably cope with him for the rest of this season. Let's get this season out of the way, and then hopefully something happens in the off season, and we start fresh completely.
Absolutely. Now, Bobby, you as an Arsenal fan had your ups and downs with your ownership, the Cronkies, and they seem to have had a bit of a conversion on the road to Damascus and have now affiliated and aligned themselves with the thinking of the club and the fan base. Is it actually possible, do you think, that as hated and um, kind of sectioned away from the ethos of the Manchester United fan base, that the Glazer family could actually turn this around and endear themselves to the fan base while continuing to act and run in a business fashion?
Okay, I'll put it two ways. With the KSC, we were lucky we had Josh. Josh is very different to his dad. Very passionate about Arsenal Football Club. Does a lot with us, helps us a lot. He actually wants us to win trophies. The difference between us and the Glazers is you don't have any of that. You don't have another brother or a sister that he's going to go, okay, I'll take the realm and I'll run with it. You don't have that. They're all very similar in mindset. They just worry about money. That is all they worry about. So I don't think you're ever going to be that lucky. But my question to you is, if you were to win, let's say if you won Europa League this season, qualify for Champions League, would you be happy with that season under the Glazers?
If we were to win Europa, qualify for Champions League, I'd
As
be
in
honest with
top
you.
four, as well. So Europa, I know you win the you go Champions League qualification anyway. But if you were to win top four and you win the Europa League, would you be happy with this season?
Well, I think given what was invested in the likes of Casemiro, Anthony, obviously Ericsson was a free, and Malacia was a dart for pretty much cheap. That we're probably not going to lose money on him, regardless of whether or not he turns out to be Premier League quality or not. But I think that would be more at the kind of to the credit of Ten Hag if we were to achieve that, rather than that of the Glazers. The Glazers spent the money this season, I think, because their arses were in the fire. They were getting heavily criticised by the fan base. The media were licking their lips and propped all over it because they were chasing them down, looking for direct quotes. Would I be happy as a fan that we're back in the Champions League? Absolutely. Do you know, everybody wants to be in the Champions League, facing the best teams, and playing on Tuesday and Wednesday nights when the the lights are on the pitch and the show is really at its highest point. Whether or not that then gives the Glazers a bit of confidence that they can stick around, you know, as a fan, you have to say the team performance is more important than getting rid of a couple of rats. So I think we'd have to be happy. We'd have to celebrate it. We'd have to give credit to the players that dragged us to it, and we'd have to give credit to the manager who brought us back to the golden chalice column.
See, I'm going on a different side of it here, because I don't think top four and Europa League is good enough for Manchester United. We're Manchester United. We should be competing for titles season in, season out. That's what we've built our whole legacy on, is built challenging titles, playing in the Champions League every season. I don't care how much the Glazers have spent because they've been under fire. It's not good enough at all. So for me, no, winning the Europa League and getting top four wouldn't be good enough. And in all fairness, I mean, I'm saying it wouldn't be good enough, but part of me doesn't want us to get through. Don't want us to win the Europa League or get top four, because the Glazers can't afford to miss out on Champions League 2 seasons in a row. That will financially hurt them massively. And I'm kind of hoping that, we just miss out. As much as it hurts me to say that as a Man United fan, it's probably one of the only ways we can actually get them out of the club, because they're going to be forced to sell because they can't afford to run the club on non-Champions League funds.
Absolutely. And just as we are talking, there is a more detailed statement after coming to my screen. So I'm just going to read this out very quickly. Sir Jim Ratcliffe participated in a live interview with the Financial Times this evening and made speculation over his interest in purchasing Manchester United Football Club. The interview remarked on how Ratcliffe had expressed an interest in acquiring Manchester United or Chelsea straight off the bat, but held off the line of questioning instead of opting to gain an insight into his ownership style at Nice, the League One club, which is currently owned by the entrepreneur. We are very hands off with Nice in the first couple of years, and this summer we got more heavily involved. The suggestion that Ratcliffe could take his time making changes should he acquire Manchester United bodes well for an Eric Ten Hag project at the club. Gradual improvements behind the scenes at executive level could allow for the Dutchman's vision to grow without interference from upstairs. There were further positives to be gained from Ratcliffe even before the discussion centred on Manchester United. It's not a permanent thing, that Ratcliffe said at one point. While the remark in fact referred to INEOS's response to the changes in the energy market, it is certainly a line that will bolster any hopes of Manchester United fans. A debt-free United would be able to take full advantage of their own revenue, and that would be a frightening prospect for any Premier League rivals. On his reputation for acting on hunches, Ratcliffe spoke of his acquisition of BP back in 2005. A company tripled their size in revenue terms at the time. We didn't meet a manager. We didn't visit a site. The due diligence was limited. Nevertheless, Ratcliffe considered the acquisition to be transformational for INEOS in spite of the industry's fluctuations since then. We quadrupled overnight, showing the value Ratcliffe places on rapid expansion. It is unlikely to have been for Manchester United, given the amount of secrecy that would have been involved to keep such a high-profile deal away from the media. This is on the back of that he set pulses racing when he confirmed offhand that he had made a $5 billion deal this morning, but refused to give away any details. He gave another hint while discussing a meeting with Manchester City owner Khalidoun Murak. I went over to talk about chemicals, and after about 2 hours and 50 minutes, we got onto the subject of chemicals. You can imagine what we were talking about. He told me illuminating stories that had his successes in the football sphere. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, lifelong Manchester United fan. I was there in '99. Manchester United is owned by the Glazer family, who I have met. They are really nice people that don't want to sell. We can't sit around waiting for Manchester United to be available. No doubt this will upset the fan base, who, by and large, are desperate for the removal of the Glazer family. It does go on to talk about a few other bits and pieces, but basically the door for the present seems to be shut on Manchester United, leaving Glazer hands for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Any final comments on this, Bobby or Colin, before we move on?
Not for me.
No bother at all. So the next one we have is a curious story. Mbappe has been quite vocal today, and apparently has admitted that he made a mistake in extending his contract at Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe was not happy with Paris Saint-Germain's current situation, and it's really now tense. He wants to leave the club as soon as possible. Paris Saint-Germain feel he's putting pressure on the club. They have no intention to sell. So It is speculated that he bowed to political pressures in order to extend his stay. Obviously, with the World Cup being in Qatar, they haven't been under Qatari ownership. Um, the club apparently are feeling sorry. Kylian Mbappe is feeling betrayed by the club after signing a 1.1 million a week wage deal just last summer, and he says that he's unhappy that Christian Geiter was hired as manager over Zinedine Zidane, while his relationship with Neymar is now non-existent. This is also reporting a split between groups in the squad, one led by Neymar, one by Lionel Messi, versus another headed by Mbappe and Sergio Ramos and Hakimi. And on top of that, Mbappe was not happy with the fact that he's been deployed as number 9. He wants a free role in the team. Um, so it goes on then to say during the short clip, the current Manchester United. Um, Obviously, Mbappe was spoken about by Cristiano Ronaldo, who Mbappe idolizes. He said, Ronaldo goes on to say that he can play on the left, right, to the middle before going to say the final 5 magical words. I just want to play. So essentially, he's drawn a lot of likenesses to Cristiano Ronaldo, and it looks like the relationship at Paris Saint Germain has hit nuclear rather fast. Column.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're looking at what if he does decide to go, there's only a handful of teams really that are going to be able to afford him. Obviously, Real Madrid, who has been strongly linked to for a little while now, they'll be strong. They can afford him. The other one is Man City, but obviously they've got Haaland, so I don't see that happening. I don't think they can afford Haaland and Mbappe. And I think United's one of them. Maybe. I mean, I'm doing math here in my head. 2 and 2 and making 7. Because obviously there's a lot of rumours going around that Ronaldo could be on his way out in January. Can we see a potential swap deal involving Ronaldo and money for Mbappe? Who knows? I hope so. He's wearing the number 7. He's wearing the number 7 on his top there. I'm going to do my voodoo magic to make it happen.
Bobby, Carlsberg don't do dreams, but if they did, could Cullum's fantasy come true?
No, it can't. I don't see him leaving in January, but I can see him leaving next summer. I think January's just be a bad time for PSG. They want to win the Champions League, don't they? So to do that, they're going to have to keep Mbappe. So that will be next summer, and I'm pretty 90% sure he'll go to Real Madrid. I can't see him going anywhere else, to be honest. I know there's just a few clubs that can afford him, but I think it'll be Real Madrid.
What about a dream partnership with Haaland at City?
You do all realise we all support teams in the Premier League. None of us would want to see that.
I know, but like at the end of the day, though, you can't admit or not admit that it wouldn't be an absolutely scintillating knife through butter partnership.
Honestly, right? Yeah. If Mbappe signs for Man City and they've still got Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland and Foden, just call the season off and just give them the trophy. Because there's literally going to be no point.
Yeah. But I am going to move briskly along because we haven't even actually started into what was going to be the second original premise of the show, which is a quick game review from the weekend. We have one more story that has cropped up in the last hour or so, and that is that Brentford are set to give Ivan Toney a lucrative new deal amidst interest from Manchester United, and they're looking to ward off a bid for their prized asset. As yet, he's performing above his XG. Colin loves a little bit of fun and unexpected goals. But would he flourish in a club like Manchester United? And how much of this story is the old, let's throw Manchester United into a story with the media link and we'll get a new contract? Bobby?
Well, the new contract thing is normally an agent thing, isn't it? It's normally a very good ploy to boost the amount that he's going to be offered. Do I think he'll leave? He could, but would he go to United? I don't know. I don't think he would, to be honest. He's got that arrogance to say that United aren't big enough for me. And that's not me being horrible to United before any of you take me off the screen. It's just I think that he would want bigger than United. I think he can see what everyone else can see with United right now. They're not the big club anymore. At this time, that there is potential, obviously, but I don't think he'd want to go to United. I think he'll want to leave Brentford, but I don't think he'll want to go to United, personally.
And just a side note, speaking of talented youngsters, Jude Bellingham has scored in the Champions League, just to update you.
Ooh, another one.
Colm, I'm just going to come to you briefly on this because I do want to mention of clubs and fan bases that think they're big but might not be as big anymore. I'll let you know who that is shortly, but Ivan Toney.
I mean, if anybody here has watched the sister channel, the United Agenda, they'll seen me on there before saying I would love to see Ivan Toney at United. I think he's a really, really good player. I really do like him. United might not be the biggest club in the world at the moment, but we've still got a bigger reputation than most clubs. We've still got that progression that we can get back there. But if you don't want to come to us because he thinks he's bigger than us, then we don't have to worry about him going to Arsenal either, so it's all right.
Oh, shots fired,
1-1.
ladies and gentlemen. Now, speaking of big clubs that have been brought firmly back to reality, has the SS Liverpool season hit a giant iceberg and is sinking to the bottom of the ocean? They are currently 10th in the table. Yes, that. Do not adjust your set. I did say 10th in the table. They were beaten by both Manchester United and Arsenal. Luis Diaz is now out until after the World Cup. Sadio Mane is playing his football in Germany and having the time of his life. Mo Salah looks like a lost puppy dog this season. He hasn't performed to Mo Salah expectations in the slightest. Virgil van Dijk's aura of invincibility is no longer there. Forwards are rather confident in winning duels against him, it seems, this season. Trent Alexander-Arnold couldn't defend a Tin Pot Cup at this stage, the way that he's going. And they have the auspicious pleasure of facing Manchester City in their next game, a team we will be speaking about shortly. And Klopp, for the first time in a long time, has declared that they're out of the title race, and we're not even in November, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the squad is now a squad that is older than most other squads in Premier League. Is the good times over for Liverpool, having hauled in an absolutely massive one Premier League title in 30 years? And they did win a couple of Champions Leagues, to be fair to them. But for a club that had been waiting for so long to get back to the top of the mountain, having not even closed the gap on their bitter rivals, Manchester United, could it be argued that this moment of greatness has been underwhelming for Liverpool? And I know, Bobby, you were going to want to speak about the great play of Arsenal, and we will allow you to do so. But what about Liverpool? Is it all gone sour?
Yeah. I noticed it last season with Liverpool. I think it was about March, April time. I noticed a little bit of decline. And I said it and everyone went, "What are you on about?" And I says, "Wait till next season, you'll see it." And it has happened. The problem is, and this is where I do compare Liverpool owners to United owners, they don't like spending money. They really don't like spending money. Now, the reason that Liverpool fan base hasn't gone absolutely mental like United fan base is because they've won trophies. They've won the league. They've won the Champions League. They've won stuff. Now is the point where they haven't got that team to challenge for those titles again. Now, FSG are going to have to, if we can quickly think of it on the top of my head, probably they need 6 players right now to get back to exactly where they were. FSG aren't going to do that at all whatsoever, because that's not the way that they buy players. I know they want to get Jude Bellingham next summer, but that will be their only signing. They might make a couple of little cheap signings here and there, like the Fabio Carvalho like last season, but that's it. And all the players that you mentioned, Sadio Mane, I watched the Munich Dortmund game at the weekend. He was loving life, and I think that is the biggest mistake of the summer for any club to sell him. That guy, I don't like watching him against my team, but I would love him to play for my club because he winds everybody up and just annoys you, and that's the kind of player you need. So, and I know that you guys don't talk about FPL so much, but the Salah, that is not the Salah of last season. I don't know who that guy is. I've watched him quite a lot this season. I don't know who that guy is, but it's definitely not Salah. I'm sure someone's just put a wig on someone and just running out there because it's definitely not Mo Salah. It could be this new contract thing, which a lot of people are talking about, where you get so much money and they just seem to down tools. It's happened with Arsenal with a couple of players. I don't know if it's ever happened with United, but it does seem to happen. It's a very weird thing. As for Arsenal, to say that there was zero chance of us winning the Premier League this season, we're now on 14% chance, which is higher than Liverpool. I think Liverpool are on 4% chance of winning the Premier League this season, which is mental. As for how confident I am, come back to me when it's game 30 and we're still up there. Then I might go, okay, well, now we're in it. Anything can happen. We've got a very small squad. Let's say 3 big injuries. Our squad is not big enough to continue the challenge. But I'm very happy with this way we started. I can't say anything more about Arsenal, to be honest. I'm just happy with the way we've started, and let's hope it continues.
Colin, Bobby just mentioned fantasy football, and I'm going to segue into your comments on the game by saying, obviously in previous years, a lot of managers would have said, you know what, now we'll bank on 3 Liverpool players, and then we'll build the rest of our team around it. This season, just for comparative purposes, the only reason now my Arsenal players are actually diminishing is because you're going to have a blank coming up, and I needed to get rid of some players in order to make sure I didn't have 6 players missing. I had 3 Arsenal, I had 3 City, now that's become 3 City, 2 United, and I haven't even been thinking of bringing in a Liverpool player because, let's just face it, they're going to let me down, and they're letting their fan base down. So has the season and the reign of Liverpool as a top club, at least for the short term, hit that iceberg and is diminishing into the ether?
100%. I mean, I don't know what's going off with Liverpool. You know, I mean, me and Bobby have spoke about Liverpool before on a few shows. I've got to agree. Selling Mane, why would you sell one of your best players? You know, he seems to have made everybody click. Salah's not even half the player he was. Van Dijk seems to be weaker than he has been. Trent Alexander-Arnold, you know, it's when Trent Alexander-Arnold is defending at times, and I've used this in a chat and I've made Bobby laugh before with it. It's like he's trying to catch water with a butterfly net. That's what it's like. You know, he's getting out jumped, out muscled by every single person that he's coming up against. You know, I believe he got took off as well at the weekend because of how poor he was actually performing.
Could be from an injury though, as well, though.
Oh well, yeah, it could be through an injury, but he'll enjoy having an injury because then the limelight's going to be off of him for a bit.
I believe they're expecting him to be out for 3 weeks. Colin is the report.
Well, there we go. 3 weeks. I hope he gets better soon. You know, you don't want to see any player seriously injured or anything. You know, it's the inner United fan in me that likes to throw little digs in at Liverpool. But I mean, you look at the transfer business that they've done. They're nowhere near the team that they were last season. Nowhere near. And the reign has ended. They've gone and sold their best player in Mane and gone and bought a Audi, Andy Carroll.
Bobby, as I tried to hold in the laughter for the comparative for Darwin Núñez, aka Wish Andy Carroll, I'm going to ask you to talk briefly about your team, Arsenal. Now, I'm not going to ask you to start going into the level of detail that you did in your preview show. So maybe you might want to mention where that can be found for the people that are watching. And the one player I want to focus on is Martinelli. We obviously know about all your young players that are coming through and doing great things. Saka is turning out to be the envy of the world, but Martinelli looked like a player that was heading for the exit door. He was unfancied, unwanted by a number of managers, and this season has come back and he's grabbed the bull by the horns. And everything that Jesus has touched has more often than not come through either Saka or up until Saka's resurgence of form, Martinelli was the prime provider and link man. What do you credit Martinelli's form on? And is he able to kick on from this, or could it be a case that he could revert to type after having a decent season?
Uh, as I was talked about on the previous show on the Armory, I think Martinelli has a bigger ceiling and a higher ceiling than Saka. I think I'm more excited about Martinelli than Saka. Doesn't say I don't love Saka, because I do. I think Martinelli is exciting. The thing with Martinelli, he's unpredictable as well. You don't know what he's going to do. One moment he can just be sprinting, and then or it just could be this beautiful little pass he does as well, or this little touch, and it just turns someone. He's so unpredictable. The problem that I have with Saka, he's too predictable. Maybe a little bit more. Martinelli, what he's done this season, I think it's just having the confidence in him from Arteta. I think Arteta does. There's a lot of the fan base is still split on Arteta himself. I think the fan base have come together with how well we're performing, but I think the fan base is still split a little bit on him. But I think he's done so well with the kids. We've got some up and coming young stars in Martinelli, because they're still young. They're nowhere near 24, 25. And I do want to touch about the contract situation, because a lot of people think he's on a very low contract. He's on 90 grand. He's highly paid. I think he deserves the same kind of contract that they're talking about with Saka, 200k, because Martinelli has the ability to also play forward. I think he does do it. I don't know if you guys watch Arsenal as much as I do. Obviously, probably not. But if you watch this attack, he sometimes is the centre forward, and Jesus goes on the left. So eventually, I do believe that Martinelli could be a centre forward option. Whether or not to do that very well, I don't know. But I definitely hope for, because his touch and finish right now is improving game by game. I'm so excited about Martinelli, and I just hope, because I know Klopp was very interested in was it last season, talked about him. Thankfully, I know FSG own him, so if they're going to get Bellingham, they won't get Martinelli as well. So I think Martinelli will be with us for quite a while, and I do hope we do keep him, because I'm very excited. He's the one that I'm very excited about at Arsenal. So yeah.
Absolutely, and you have a like-minded individual in Footmoss who's saying, "Clappy, stay the heck away from our player." But I think Cullum was one, and I myself both backed Martinelli at the start of the season, because obviously with our fantasy football goggles on, he was a choice that definitely was worthy of our attention, and clearly, obviously, Jesus has started scoring goals beyond what he ever done at City, and obviously that's a product of the style of football, and that is being delivered to him at Arsenal, and he's been seen as the spearhead of the attack at Arsenal, and the players like your Martinellis, your Sakas, and whatnot are loving working off him. But we do need to pick up pace, gentlemen, because we do have 2 more games to cover, and the electricity meter is slowly starting to tick out. Ross, I do apologize for making an energy pun. I know that the transformer near you has blown up, and it's not your fault that you're not here, but I did have to get it in some way. So sorry about that, Ross. But I'm going to briefly move on to Manchester City, and not so much about the game, but this incredible run that Alfie Inga Haaland's son, Erling, is on. He has only failed to score in a single solitary game this season, which is absolutely incredible. He scored back to back to back hat tricks at home in the Premier League, something that no other striker has done. He's had 3 hat tricks in just 8 Premier League starts, again, which is faster than any other Premier League striker. But the elephant in the room is obviously at the weekend, a certain Mr. CR7, Christian Ronald 7, scored his 700th goal. And they were talking about this on a certain channel that I really don't give a lot of credence to a lot of the time, and that is Talksport. And Mr. Graham Souness stated that Haaland will have to continue playing for a further 16 years and get over 40 goals per season to match the feat of Cristiano Ronaldo. And Bobby, I know you've drawn another comparison as we were talking backstage, and that is with R9. Do you want to share this with the viewers?
Oh, no.
Or, oh, I apologize. I might be after confusing you talking about this to me with somebody else. That is the Brazilian Ronaldo. Apparently, his scoring rate was actually even more impressive than that is currently being exhibited by Messer Haaland.
Didn't know that. Did you, Cole?
No.
I didn't know that. And just to talk quickly about Real Madrid, they're actually losing it at the moment. Just for pure. There you go. But quick, I really want to say this, but wouldn't it be just like the Premier League this weekend that Liverpool meet Man City? Just saying. I know it would probably hurt you, but it would just be the Premier League, wouldn't it? Just City would just lose to Liverpool.
But incredibly though, Bobby, if they fail to win, they could be actually within a point of relegation at this stage of the season.
Actually, I'll see if I can see what's the chances of them being relegated, because it's it's under 1%, so they're not being talked into being relegated at the moment.
So at present, as you can see there, they are currently on 10 points. That's a point a game is what Jurgen Klopp's men are averaging. And Wolverhampton are only 4 points behind. Bottom is only 6 points behind. Now, I know this is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, you got the relegation talk last season, Bobby. It was stupid then. It's still stupid now. Manchester United got the relegation talk earlier on in the season. Again, absolutely far-fetched and stupid, but you have to entertain the banter in this. But Cristiano Ronaldo, 700 goals. Can Haaland match it? 40-odd goals per season for another 16 seasons? That's superhuman, isn't it?
It's not going to happen with Haaland. No. There's going to be a time that he's going to get injured. He did get injured a lot at Dortmund. He hasn't got injured yet, thankfully for himself, but he's going to get injured. And Ronaldo was a beast, 3 years ago, and then backwards from there. It's not going to happen. It's just not. I can see him not even being at City for very long either, to be honest.
Interesting you mentioned that, Cullum. There is apparently a clause in Mr. Haaland's contract that the season after next, in that summer, he can actually leave Manchester City without any influence from the owners for the price of £200 million to a non-Premier League side. Now, not to be stating the obvious, but given the financial state of Barcelona and Spanish football, who could actually afford that? And there's only one club really that kind of jumps out, and that is a club that Mbappe's trying to leave.
Yep, that is very, very true. But on the flip side of that as well, now I've seen rumours about it last week, and I've seen a bit more this week. It seems to be picking up a little bit more pace. They are trying to negotiate a new contract with him to get rid of that release clause.
To quote ABBA, money, money, money. But I'm just going to touch briefly on Manchester City and the seemingly relentless pace that they're dispatching their foes at present. Just let's play devil's advocate. Supposing Haaland disappears due to a soft tissue injury for 3, 4, 5 games, do you worry about where the goals come from? Because him being such a vital spearhead on the attack, and because defenses are so focused on him, could that then allow defenses to be a bit calmer and then to plan for your Fodens, your De Bruynes, your Alvarezes and whatnot, would it make defences a lot more comfortable knowing that they don't have to choose between having to mark Haaland and having to mark the rest of their arsenal?
For me, no. I don't think it makes it any easier because Arsenal. I mean, Man City when they're playing recently, yeah, okay. You see Haaland getting involved a lot in the games, but Alvarez can do that. Foden's scoring more goals now. You know, they've got goals coming from all over the pitch. Mahrez can score goals. Kevin De Bruyne can score goals. Cancelo, he can score goals. You know, so they've got attacking threat everywhere, and they'll just pass you from side to side, side to side to side to side, and work the ball. They won't just hoof it in. You know, and I mean, I've seen a couple of Man City games, and Julian Alvarez looks like he's going to be more than capable to cover if Haaland gets a little injury. You know, he's out for a couple of weeks. He looks like more than capable enough to score a few goals.
Absolutely. Now, Bobby, you're sitting there quietly, and you've obviously yet to face Manchester City because your game obviously is deferred for the time being. How fearful of that attack are you as an Arsenal fan? You've seen what they've done to Manchester United. You've seen what they've been doing to teams all season, bar a couple. Is this team just a juggernaut that will go through whatever brick wall is put through them?
Well, I will say if it's going to be on a TV and it's going to be a watch along, Colm, I might be ill that day already. I can just feel it coming on. I can feel the cold coming. See, cold coughing already. But no, honestly, yeah. I think Saliba. I think he could handle him. But what Colm was saying just a moment ago about because I've just looked up the Man City team that's drawn 0-0 in Copenhagen. It was Alvarez, Grealish, De Bruyne, Mahrez as a front four, and they didn't score a goal. Now, that's alarming, to be honest, because it's in Copenhagen. It's not. No disrespect to Copenhagen, they're not a hard team to beat. And they had 14 shots, only 4 on target. Didn't put a possession was only 59%. I know they went down to 10 men, but this is Man City. They can cope with down to 8 men, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to be ill if it's an Arsenal watch along. Colm's going to be doing it by himself.
Good Greece, mate. Doing me.
But it's going to be painful. But I think Saliba could handle him. But then it's all the other threats as well. It's the De Bruyne, it's Grealish, it's whoever else is going to be playing. Foden as well. Yeah, it's just a nightmare. I hope we do. I hope we did what we did last season at home. And if we just lose 2-1, I'll take that, to be honest, right now.
Before we get to the final topic of tonight, I do want to take an opportunity to remind everyone that we are currently sponsored by Global Mapping Services. Global Mapping Services currently assist architects, property developers, and construction companies all over the country, that is the United Kingdom. They offer a wide range of services such as setting out topographical surveys, 3D laser scanning, and monitoring. The link to their website is in the description of this video. Now, Bobby, you have mentioned watch-alongs, and you are one of the purveyors of commentary here on the Full-Time Sports Network. I believe Manchester City are playing on Sunday this week, and is that correct? And is that a game that you will be ably commenting on? And are you inviting guests to give criticism to Liverpool?
Is that the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday?
I believe yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes,
it is. Yeah. So I will be doing that. If Colm would like to join me, he's more than welcome. And anyone else, to be honest, anyone else is more than welcome. But it'll also be the Tottenham-Everton game on Saturday night as well. Will also be being done. Rebel's very excited there. But no, everyone's welcome to watch along. It's much more fun as a group doing it, to be honest, as well.
Absolutely. No, I'm going to be fair, because I think me and Colm are not quite as impartial for this final game that we're going to review. Obviously, we will go through the scores briefly before this. So, Bobby, I'm going to let you take this one away, given that you are the impartial party. We were demolished by Manchester City in the previous game in the Premier League. and they kind of dug deep, they fought hard, and they beat a gamey Everton side. Is this something that you think is credit to the management, that he's instilled a different sort of belief and backbone to them, or is it a case that Everton were just manure?
I think Everton are a very hard team to beat at home. To be honest, I think United will pick up a lot of these wins, and under Ten Hag and the players that he's brought in, like Anthony, is something else. I didn't think he'd make the step up to the Premier League as well as he has. I'm well impressed with him. But yeah, I think there's going to be a few of these games that I don't think you're going to be like very chuffed with. As long as you've got the 3 points, I think you should just take that and go, thank you very much. As for the City game, first half, yeah, it was absolutely carnage. Second half, I thought you did all right. You won it. You won the second half. So for me, I'd take that. And I still don't understand the Casemiro thing. If you two could explain that to me, please do, because I don't understand why Casemiro wasn't playing in that game.
The thing that I heard was apparently that he wasn't quite up to match fitness, and that he was literally trying to basically build him up and utilize him and to kind of bring him to the stage where he was football ready this season. How that could be the case, considering he probably was starting pretty much every game for Madrid before that, beats me. But look, I suppose at the end of the day, if you're looking at a squad and he had Scotty Mac in there and he was doing a job for him and he hadn't really put too many feet forward, regardless of who you've after buying and sitting on the bench, if you took him off without cause, you probably would have just literally destroyed that player for the rest of the season. So I suppose maybe it was a case there as well that he had to wait for McTominay not to be as consistent as he had been. And it's a big shadow that Casemiro had over him, and now it looks like Casemiro's in there, and I don't see him getting shifted. Let's call a spade, because he's now building up a rapport with Cristiano Ronaldo. It like coincidence. Casemiro plays, Ronaldo scores. Okay, we've one game for evidence. Let's see if they repeat the trick. The one player that I'm a bit disappointed got injured, because he's a player that has been criticised a lot in Manchester United. Admittedly by myself as well, and that is Anthony Martial. He looked like he didn't want to be there for a lot of the seasons that he was here. Ten Hag arrives, and all of a sudden we see a happy, smiley, in good form Anthony Martial. He gets an opportunity, gets injured unfortunately. Was involved in the first goal against Everton, and unfortunately a back injury took him out. I'm hoping that his career now won't be blighted by little small injuries and niggles, because it looks like if you can get a player that's happy, that's fulfilled. Anthony Martial does have talent. Nobody ever disputed that, but it was whether or not he was bothered and had the work rate. And under Ten Hag, I think there's a possibility that we could see what we actually paid for an Anthony Martial. And I'm going to flip it to Cullum to give his final thoughts on Manchester United and what Bobby has said.
Yeah, I mean, great win. I mean, let's face it, we just got absolutely hammered by City to come back and win is a very good result. But you don't forget, we struggle against Everton as well. If you look past some of the past results, we don't normally get a lot from Goodison Park. And I know a lot of people are going on about, this 700 goals by Ronaldo, but I want to say congratulations to Anthony as well, because he broke a record by becoming the first United player to score in their first 3 Premier League games. So well done to you as well. But yeah, in regards to Martial as well, I really hope he gets back fit. I mean, I've not always been the biggest fan of Martial, even when he went out on loan last season, the attitude he had and everything, but he seems to come back a more vitalised player. He could be a very a very important player for us for the rest of the season. And I just hope we kick on now from this victory and get some more points.
Absolutely. Now, before we do sign off, I am going to go through briefly the scores from the weekend. Brighton 0, Bottlers 1. Newcastle 5, Brentford 1. Haaland FC 4, Southampton 0. Chelsea 3, Portugal B 0. Bournemouth 2, Brenny's going to leave his job soon 1. Fat Frank FC 1, Manchester United 2, Arsenal 3, Klopp Zimmerframe FC 2, Hammers Moisey Zombies 3, Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 2, aka Arsenal Light, Leeds 1, Nottingham Forest going back down 1, Stevie G Let It Slip 1.
Oh dear.
No.
I was
We're getting
prepared for a
cancelled.
proper. I was prepared for a nice, sensible run through the scores, and then all of a sudden it just comes out with things. I'm like, what?
Any final words before we sign off, Bobby? Do you want to let people know where to find you and all the rest of that? Oh, obviously, other than here.
I'll say I'm here. Yeah, you'll find me here and in the Armory as well. Just doing watch-alongs and Arsenal content on the Armory, but mainly I'm here as well. Thank you very much.
No worries. And Colum, what do you have on the slate for the remainder of the week? Anything eye-catching to keep an eye out for?
So for the rest of the week, we're doing absolutely nothing because we just got cancelled by Rebel for his scores. No, we've got we've got the Mullet Show, the comedy football show tomorrow with Ollie. I believe is it 8:00? That's normally on. So 8:00 then. Friday we have the debate show as well. So if you are available to come Friday, please do check that out. And then we have the watch-alongs over the weekend featuring the wonderful host with the most, Bobby, and possibly myself, because I do believe my weekend's free this weekend. So I should be there. And then it's all back on Monday with the review show.
Excellent, excellent. I want to thank both Bobby, who jumped in last minute, and Colum for joining me on the football lounge tonight. And just a final public service announcement. Tottenham Hotspur are a team in need of trophies. So if you have some spare silverware at home, please do consider donating it to a Spurs fan in need. They would very much appreciate it. But from us, goodbye, good night, and we'll see you later.